Hello and welcome back to another episode of MCW, and we are back once again for Midlands Mayhem, and this time we have got 4 matches in the men's brackets because the women's brackets are finished. However, we do also address what will happen after the three-way tie between Britani, Erin Angel and Jenny Sjodin. But let's jump into the show. We are going to be once again at Featherstone and Hilton in the Midlands, and we are expecting up to 86 fans. If you are looking forward to the episode, please do leave a like down below. Comment who do you think we should have win the MCW World Championship, and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Let's jump into the first show. And the show opens with a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, where Zak Knight defeats Roy Knight in 10:53 by submission with a Zodiac Sleeper after blatantly cheating. So let's go. He used his wrist tape to choke Roy Knight out, and that's why he was able to get the win. The match gets a 39 rating, which isn't too bad at all. Roy with a 42 for in-ring and Zack with a 28. Zack is the younger of the two, so him being slightly worse in-ring isn't a concern because I think he's going to really grow into being a pretty good wrestler for us. We then follow that up with Saraya coming out to have an argument with Zack over the fact that he cheated, and that gets a rating of 25, unfortunately, because Roy and Zack both struggled with improvising dialogue. Maybe we'll script them in future. Following that, in a bout that had great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Clint Margera beats Marty Scurll in 8 minutes 17 by pinfall. This was once again a hardcore match, and this time Clint Margera not doing great with his in-ring performances at the minute. The segment gets a rating of 41 and got the crowd buzzing, so that should be good for us going into the rest of the show. Next up we have Ricky Knight coming out. He gets a 16 rating, which isn't great. However, the important thing here is he has announced that a triple threat will decide the bracket B winner. So Britani Knight, Erin Angel and Jenny Sjodin in 2 weeks at MCW Live will have a triple threat. That will be our main event of that show to decide who faces Saraya in the final. And then we are back into bracket A next, I believe. No, bracket B, sorry. In a bout that had great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Mastiff defeats Marty and Kirby by 13-25 with a cannonball. Mastiff once again doing a pretty good job for us. He is getting high ratings again. In-ring performance of 45. Marty Kirby with an in-ring performance of 37. So he's doing fantastic for us as well. Overall, the match getting a 43 rating and getting the crowd hopped to right before our main event. But just before that, in a 21 rated promo, Mastiff says that by the end of this tournament, Lionheart will not be able to stand. He's continually targeted Lionheart week after week, and particularly because he's going to be facing him in the tournament, he's not planning to stop doing that. And now it's time for our main event, which is Rampage Brown taking on Chris Brookes. We took a bit of a risk putting this in the main event, so let's hope it pays off. And not particularly. The segment getting a 32 rating. It was a decent match. Rampage Brown wins by pinfall. Chris Brookes was visibly tiring towards the end. We did expect that because we were warned that he may not have the stamina for a steal the show match, and unfortunately it did come to be that way. Maybe we should have put it to 10 minutes and he would have been okay, but it was worth experimenting with it, and we're that small of a company that if we click finish show, we have still gained popularity just in the one region this time. And we will congratulate Zak Knight, Clint Margera, and despite that it wasn't actually that good, we are going to give some encouragement to Rampage Brown because at least he's put in the effort, and hopefully it will come good. Let's go and get into MCW Live. And then for MCW Live, in front of 92 fans at Featherstone and Hilton, we opened the show in a bout that had great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Rampage Brown defeats Roy Knight in 9:22 by submission, continuing his winning streak. That makes it 3 out of 3 for Rampage Brown and puts him on 6 points in the tournament so far. Following that, we have Britani telling Saraya, stay away from my match. Obviously, the reason we've got the triple threat tonight is because Saraya cost Britani the match, even though she was trying to help. And Saraya says, you know, fair enough, yeah, I'll stay out the way. I won't get involved. And then after that, we're going to jump over to the B bracket, where we have Lionheart in a bout that had great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Lionheart defeats Zach Gibson in 10-17 with a leap of faith. The match gets a 41 rating, so a pretty solid result for us there. Lionheart with an in-ring performance of 48, Zach Gibson with a 27. And after the match, you know what's coming. Dave Mastiff tries to attack Lionheart, but this time Lionheart is able to duck under him and send Dave Mastiff tumbling outside the ring, unable to successfully attack Lionheart this time around in a segment that gets a 26 rating. Next, we just have a little video package with Erin Angel, Jenny Sjodin and Britani Knight all saying why they will win tonight's main event. Gets a 16 rating, so not great, but just gives them all a bit of experience on the microphone and keeps us going throughout the night. We're back into matches though next, with Roy Knight defeating Ricky Knight in a decent match by submission. The match gets a 27 rating. Roy Knight picking up an important win for him. I think it's his second win of the tournament, so puts him on to 4 points. I will confirm that just before we end the video though. Ricky, again, an in-ring performance of 9. Not great, which is why we go into Zak Knight coming out to mock Ricky for constantly losing and tells him, why don't you just retire? Only gets a segment rating of 12, but for a little angle, that's absolutely fine. And then I believe next we have our main event, which we do in a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Britani Knight defeats Erin Angel and Jenny Sjodin in 14:52 when Britani Knight pins Jenny Sjodin with a Night Light, a 38 for the match. Britani with a 36 in ring performance, Erin Angel with a 38 and Jenny with a 28. And the crowd is buzzing to end the show, and we're going to have a little showdown to end everything off. Britani and Saraya face to face. The finals are set for the Women's Championship. It gets a rating of 36. Now we are going to have a couple of shows that are going to be quite heavy on the male side of the roster, because we need to get their brackets finished so that we can crown both champions in one night. That is going to be our next steps. So we finish the show with a 37 rating, not too shabby at all. So we'll tell Lionheart that he was, let's point him out as a good example. And then Roy Knight can also be told he had a good performance. We'll compliment him on a good performance, and Britani Knight can be praised for a great performance as she prepares for the Women's Championship final. So just before we have a little roundup of the tournament so far, we've got a little bit of news. Jenny Sjodin and Martin Kirby have begun dating, so ideally we don't want to fire either of them because the other one won't be happy. And we also have Trent Seven and Zack Sabre Jr. having problems. See if it's mentioned in the news here. It is what's been going on there. They're apparently at war, according to inside sources, with a bitter hatred developing between the two. It said that it's simply a clash of egos, as some have said that this battle can only end with one taking a major fall from grace. That is not great to see, especially when, if we go and have a look at the tournaments, in the tournament they are in the same bracket. Have they faced off yet? They have already had their match, so that's not too bad. They don't have to work together. We just need to make sure that they're not clashing. However, for a roundup in bracket A, Zack Sabre Jr. and Rampage Brown both on 6 points each, with 3 matches remaining each, including facing off against each other. Chris Brookes, Roy Knight and Zak Knight all on 4 points each. Trent Seven on 2 points and Ricky Knight on 0. Meanwhile, in bracket B, we have Lionheart and Dave Mastiff on 6 points each. Pete Dunne and Clint Margera on 4 points each. Martin Kirby and Marty Scurll on 2 points, and Zach Gibson yet to pick up a win. And as you can see from this, we've got a number of matches left to do, which is why we're going to be quite heavy on the male wrestling for the next couple of shows to make sure that we can crown both our champions in the same show. But if you have enjoyed that, please do leave a like down below. Comment who do you think will win out of Britani and Saraya in the Women's Championship final. Subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and thank you very much for watching.